region, LA, Lower Alabama, in recruiting? Why is it so critical for Auburn to recruit this area?
Yeah, absolutely huge. I mean, you go down the list of greats that have come out of here, and it's really, it's not just the city. It's this whole area is phenomenal. We've had some greats at Auburn. Alabama's had some greats, and this is an area you gotta go and you gotta compete. And you're kind of in this pocket where there's everybody in the South recruits here, from Texas to Louisiana to obviously our state, and so uber competitive. I spent a bunch of time here in January. We don't get a ton of time on the road, but we spent a bunch of time here in January, and just got one of the best players in the state right here in Mobile that made a commitment to us, and so we're going to keep fighting to keep these kids home.
Just in general, recruiting wise, how's the message been received in your first full go round?
Yeah, I think it's been such a interesting experience, in the sense that you get here in late November, early December, and you really feel like you're behind in a lot of ways. Most of these guys at this caliber are getting recruited for the last 2 years, so you're playing catch up, and you can use that as an excuse, or you could go work really hard and try to make up ground. And feel like this class, as it's coming together, we've made up a ton of ground, and it's helped that we've got so many guys that have recruited in this league, that were in this league coming in. We spent, like Cody Burns made it a point my last year at South Florida that we were going to recruit Alabama. We had 4 kids from here committed at South Florida, so I spent a bunch of time here, certainly going back to my Tennessee time, and then this last year. So we had ties, but it was a matter of establishing relationships, and in a lot of ways, I feel like we were actually just talking about this flying down. I feel like every young man I met with, every family I met with, you're telling the Auburn story. You're not rebuilding a brand, but rebuilding an identity of a football program with every single kid, one at a time. And so it's been fascinating. It's been interesting, but it's also, as we've started to kind of get some momentum, it's gone really well. And the emphasis is always going to be the state, but this region's been really good to us, and then we've got some ties, all over the country where in this first class especially, where you're going to go and you're going to attack where you have relationships, and we've made up a lot of ground. I know we've worked extremely hard at it, so now you need proof of concept this fall, because signing day is 6 months away.
Sean Spencer was a guy that really came to campus and really showed himself well in the first, 3 months of even being there on campus. What has he done that you think can maybe translate into the fall, and what made him so successful early on?
I missed the name.
Deshaun Spencer.
Man, so Deshaun's a young man that for about a week, just over a year ago, was committed to the last place, and then quickly decommitted, and he was a young man that was literally sitting on his official visit when I walked into the facility that Sunday, kind of with a big old grin on his face, and all along through the recruiting, his whole deal and his family was he wanted to be at Auburn, and so he's come in and been exactly what we thought. He's really intelligent. He's a really good football player. He did so much at Saraland that for him to just hone in at playing receiver, and he's really locked in on playing in the slot. He's earned everybody's respect. He's a young guy that we're gonna have to get the ball in his hands and let him go do it. It was kind of cool that his best practice was the spring game, and with people around, and that was the 5th time in the spring where people got to tackle him, and that was the first time I saw this, like what we saw in high school, this dynamic, really hard to tackle young guy. He's put some good weight on. He's really smart, really tough. Man, you talk about identity of Auburn football, that's what you want, and he's another guy that's just honored to be there, and I think that's, as you're building a foundation for a football program that's so big, to have guys that genuinely want to be there, and he's one of those guys, so really proud of him.
What is the identity of Auburn football?
Yeah, we'll find out this fall. I think for coming into year one, that's the key. This is my 6th, 7th time being part of a year one, and the teams that have had success, at least in my experience, have been able to establish an identity really quickly. And that's like literally I walked out of a team meeting, got on a plane, we talked what identity looks like, and we continuously talk about it. The work has got to reflect the talk, but you know, I think if you go back to what Auburn football was built on, it's physical, it's tough, it's gritty, it's blue collar, and you can equate that a lot of different ways. You know, people equate it to running the football. That's certainly it. But to me, it's playing elite level defense. It's establishing the run, and it's playing harder for 4 quarters than your opponent. You know, and I think your identity is something that the average fan can watch, whether they're a Jordan Hare or they're watching on TV and say, man, like these dudes are physically and mentally tough. These dudes are connected. These dudes play really, really hard. At the end of the day, that was established at Auburn way before me, and it'll be the same way after me, and it's us getting back to that. And I think it's a little bit easier when you can hang your hat and point to teams, players, coaches that came before us that have represented what that is, and that's what we're fighting like crazy every day to get back to.
In terms of like your roster construction, have you had to sort of tear up the playbook in terms of recruiting, portal, retention? I mean, just kind of where are you at now compared to when you were at South Florida or even as an assistant at Tennessee?
Yeah, what do you mean by tear up the playbook?
I mean, just in terms of, you know, you're going to have much more, the portal is going to be a much bigger piece of putting together your roster than in past years.
Yeah, I think, man, kind of a loaded question. I think early on, you have to do what you have to do to establish a roster that you can go compete in the SEC with. I think as we go, as you adjust with the modern day times, I think every program is going to have to find their own way in that regard. For me, in what we're doing, we obviously signed a bunch of guys out of the portal simply because I had 2 days to sign a high school class. And we hung on to some really, really good players in that high school class, and now that they're all there, I'm glad we did. But this recruiting class for us, and I've been very, very open about it, is truly the foundation of what our program is going to be for years to come. Like this 27 class is huge for us. It's the first time that I've gotten to sit down and build one young guy and his family at a time to what we want it to be. Obviously, you got to stack those one after the next is how you're going to create a sustainable culture and a sustainable program. But where we are geographically, you shouldn't have to be in the portal every single year reconstructing a roster. I think if the culture of the program is right, and that's the one thing that hasn't changed, I think, like, probably not talked about enough, but young guys still want the same thing they did 5 years ago. They want to be held accountable, they want to be told the truth, they want to be coached really hard, and they want to win. And I think if you provide all of that to them, then the turnover doesn't happen. We didn't have crazy turnover at the last place. The portal is certainly a way to get talent that is more ready to play, maybe. But long term, where we are geographically, you should be able to recruit and develop elite level high school talent. We're in the most talent rich area in the entire country, and we've got the resources to develop guys. We've got the resources to go recruit. We've got a staff that's as tied into this conference and this region of the country as any staff I've ever been a part of. And so we're going to recruit high school guys. We'll fill gaps with portal guys, but I don't know if I've ripped up any script. If anything, I've been even more focused on being who we say we are and when we recruit, and then doing what we said we were going to do when we recruited. Obviously, time will tell, and we got to keep adjusting because the times have changed. It's a completely different world, but at the same time, I think I keep going back to the same principles of what young guys are looking for, and that has never changed. Now it's just what and how you recruit on the front end. If you're going to be real about it and be honest and lay out what expectations are and lay out what playing football at Auburn is, and then live up to that, then you should be able to retain and develop as you go. Because I still stick to the fact that a young man in year 3, 4, 5 of a program is always going to be at least more invested than a young man that's there for a year. And right now we didn't have that luxury, so we're going to roll and try to build this team as fast as we can. Not build a roster, build a team. It's talked about so much, building rosters. Like, this is the greatest team game there is. Like, you need 115 dudes, and I don't know how many staff members we got, over 100, all on the same page to win a football game. There's a reason why all these games are all one-score games, and the margin of victory is so tiny in this league because everybody's about even.
Thank you.